If not, then I'm going to go ahead and start demo day. I believe Carlos was first in the call. So Carlos, you can start your demo right now. This is super chill, super laid back. Go through your project page by page and talk about how you built it. And I can offer any comments and suggestions. So I'm a full stack dev, have almost 10 years of experience. I can offer any technical advice and suggestions as well. This is first come, first serve. Jen, what's the usual limit for developers? This is the first time I'm hosting demo day, full disclosure.
No worries. Yeah, so usually we give them around 1 to 3 minutes, depending on if it's like a group or a single person. So if it's a group, usually they take turns, so it's 3 minutes, but usually a solo person is about a minute, but it's up to the devs essentially.
Gotcha. So let's do one speaker and 1 minute each. And I'd like to actually offer feedback on the projects after each minute. So that I think will be valuable. And I want if other people have feedback, then I think that's super valuable for anybody who shows up to demo day. Carlos, you can share your screen and you can take it away. As soon as you start speaking, we'll count your time and we'll give you a few prompts.
Okay, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Sounds good. And your time starts now.
Okay, so this is my typing game. I decided to add a translation feature. So basically what you have here is a list of 9 different languages, and depending on which one you select, the game will show you words on that language. The goal is to translate the word and type the word in English before the time runs out. A quick, I will show you how it works very quickly. So let's say, born, yeah. And yeah, you can press enter to skip the word, and it is fully responsive. Let me see here. You cannot access the developer tools while you're playing because it doesn't recognize the keys as it is using the event handler. It is fully responsive. Once I finished, I realized I couldn't use it on the phone because there's no keyboard on the phone. So I had to go through a lot of things. It is currently working. I had to add an input field is hidden in there. So in the mobile version, it is not actually using the key down event. It is actually looking what is inside of the input field, and once it re-renders, it just delete like the content.
Gotcha. That's time. That's awesome. Feedback on this project. Making it responsive is amazing. It can be difficult to make something responsive after you've made it for desktop. So a good way to go about building your project is start mobile first and then make the mobile version into a desktop version. That way you cover all your bases, because if you think about it, a mobile game will work just fine on desktop with, even if you don't tweak it, it's still, it still works. But however, taking something from desktop and squeezing it down into mobile, it breaks your assumptions. You've made the assumption that, okay, I have so much space, and then you're going to have to squeeze it down. So how we build software for our clients on the Zero Project side, that's our consulting firm, is we actually build mobile first and then expand them into desktop when they want like a dual solution like that, like a web plus mobile responsive website. So yeah, that's great, amazing. So thanks for that. Second piece of feedback, landing page would have been really helpful over here, because when a recruiter takes a look at this, or when a hiring manager takes a look at this, if you don't have a story behind it, it's very difficult for them to see this as a finished product. But if you just add a marketing page, which is maybe half a day of effort, bare minimum marketing page is half a day to a day of effort, they feel like it's a finished product and they get way more impressed. Like the difference is massive. So second piece of feedback. Great. Carlos, thanks so much for demo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person was, I believe, Emsa.
Emsa, yeah.
So take it away.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
So just a minute. share. Um, so am I sharing?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the landing page of my application. I did it simple style with some scrolling effects and stuff.
Very cool. I like
Yeah.
the custom scroll bar too.
Yeah, I did it.
Mhm.
And that's it for the landing page. So for the game, it's here the play button. Also added a logging screen. Here I did use a parallax.js for a bit deep effect.
Mm.
So here we press the start, the game starts, and I used some quotes, some nice quotes to get some inspiration, vibe, and stuff. And when you are playing the game and practicing the typing skills and stuff. Here up, I did add the stats and the timer. So when we type, it's detecting if we are pressing the right button and entering the right letter. So it's marking it with green. When we are doing an error or mistake, it's going to be right and added this shake effect to it. And we need to input the whole sentence quote to change it. I'll show it just. So it ended before I did it, but here are more stats like the words per minute, character per minute, errors, and of course the accuracy. So now we can play it again with pressing the restart button.
That is super cool. And that marks time. That's great. Really love it.
Thank you.
Love the design. Really great design. I think it's super impressive. There's in UX UI design, there's this thing called vertical rhythm, and you might want to look that up. And it's missing a bit of vertical rhythm. The spacing between the pages is a little jarring. So when you're going,
I know.
so that's one piece of feedback. On the play the game, I think Parallax.js is a good thought. The background image, if you replace it with a high quality image of some sort from a free website, then just changing the image to something that's higher quality will make your project seem way better. It's already amazing, but the background needs to maybe be higher quality.
I did add a blur effect and stuff. It's a high quality image. I can show it just a minute.
Perfect. I think you need to take the blur off because it's looking like a pixelated picture.
Yeah, I know.
Cool. Perfect.
Okay.
Love it. And third piece of feedback on this, after you finish, it should probably pop up with your results, and the results should be center screen. Right now you have play the game again, but it should pop up with results, and play the game again should be near the bottom.
Yeah.
Love it overall. Really great.
I had that idea to do it, but I didn't have the time. So I would like to, yeah. Thank you.
Fair enough. I think it's a great project. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Great. Scott, I think you were next.
All right. Sorry, I left my audio on. I didn't realize. So let me share my screen, correct?
Yes, sir. And cool gauges and sleeve, man.
Oh, thanks. Let's see. So this is the yes, the Heroku. No, that's my local host. Can you still see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the deployed version. I'm gonna start out. Actually, I was just checking some stuff out. I want to start out with my landing page. So yes, my collaborators were very instrumental in finishing this. I designed like the input component, but they really helped out with a lot of the game logic. Mona did like a ton of really great styling. Jamie, who is self-taught, figured out a bunch of cool stuff with like this words API to get like a random word set. So we got the landing page, and then we got a video, screen cap video, demo, then we'll go to the game. So the game is like a memory typing game. So when you start, you have a card, and you have to type and enter it. If you're correct, you get a happy cat. If you're not, you get an angry cat, and it subtracts from your score. If you do nothing, nothing happens. Bark. So I'm trying to keep up here. It happens quickly. Or reps. So you got to do it before the next thing. All right. So how that works. So you can also go to the next level. Basically, the length of the word will increase, and so it gets more difficult each level. That was kind of difficult. That's what we were working on right up until the last second, is getting that to work. And you can see I'm getting tons wrong because it starts going faster and faster. But anyway, and then you can keep doing it, and the words will keep getting longer by 2 letters each time.
Super cool. Awesome.
Yeah. And that's it, I guess.
Amazing. I actually really like the landing page that you made, because when you put who made this right at the very front and center, you're telling people that, look, this is a portfolio piece and I'm looking for work. And it really cues recruiters in. So there are kind of 2 strategies. One is a strategy that MSAT took, which is make it look like a product. And the other one is make it look like a portfolio piece. And you can experiment with either one, see what really works for your own style of selling yourself to employers and recruiters. And what's really nice about putting everybody's names up front is it really, if the person is interested in you, it just revalidates it. Okay, yeah, this person made the project and they're looking for work. So it piques interest.
I should probably do that for one of my other ones, my other projects that I have. I don't have a landing page.
You know what? If you guys add, like landing pages is super useful. In addition to that, if you add like a mini portfolio section for each person, then maybe add your top 3 other projects, more like something like see more projects by this person. Then if you click on those projects, it'll take you to those projects. It makes it a much more interactive experience for recruiters when they land on.
I think we have active links to GitHub, our GitHub profiles in the landing page.
That works as well. That works
under
very
the
well.
pictures.
That works very well. So
yeah,
you said you built the typing component. What did you learn?
Well, I learned about like different types of event listeners, like different ways to like, start out with using like an input text field and like just capturing the value of each key, and then, getting that to autofocus, and then that evolving to like having a window event listener to just capture the keys, which
Nice. Like
Jamie came up with, and we kind of had to like mess with that a little bit today to fine tune it for like navigating back and forth between the pages, like different things. Like if you add an event listener, for instance, this is the thing we were troubleshooting earlier, like you have to make sure you remove it each time, because like when the page reloaded at first, like coming from the landing page and then back to the game page, if you went back and forth, all of a sudden each key you typed would show up twice.
Yep.
So like little things like that.
No, that's not little. That's massive, because that's the kind of stuff that most developers, they learn a little bit of that stuff, but they don't really start stumbling into issues with it until they get a production project that actually asks them to work with stuff like this. So that's actually deep knowledge that you've gained. Hey, great. That was a great project. Really love it. Who's next on the roster? Ronnie? Oh no, Jamie was first. Sorry, Ronnie. Jamie was
was
first.
part of Scott's team.
Oh, Jamie's on Scott's team. Okay, perfect. And Ronnie, would you like to go next then?
Sure. Let me try to share here.
Amazing.
I think I have a system preferences issue here, but I'll get it.
Oh, you're on a Mac?
Yeah.
Yeah. Accessibility stuff. Yep, yep, yep.
Common problem.
Welcome to Zoom sharing.
Yep.
And a quick question, Jen, is it okay if we round up the hour and go till 1 after this demo?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Because then I can take any technical Q&A. I'm giving a lot of non-technical feedback, but I can also take technical Q&A on these projects, just as a group. Okay, amazing. Go for it. We can see your screen.
Okay, cool. This is Word Blaster. My idea was to kind of gamify this and make it a little more fun, more of an arcade style shooter, something you might want to replay now and again.
Nice.
So the words fly in from the right. Oop. I don't know what happened there.
Oh no, demo difficulties. I hate those.
Just pause it here. So I have a CSS grid layout with 5 rows. So we're randomly putting a word in one of those 5 rows and animating it to the left side of the screen. No more than 5 words at a time, just to kind of keep it from getting too cluttered. And they're moving fast enough so that we don't need to have 20 words on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to play around with the timing and how many words and when they trigger, and it was a chore, but I think I got it down to a reasonable amount of things on the screen to type.
This is actually really interesting. How did you get them to move from the right to the left?
So I used keyframes, and the only variable was the left position.
Gotcha.
So it's positioned left at 100%, and then it'll translate that all the way down to 0 over 3 seconds, I think, 5 seconds or something like that. Just
cool.
to get speed enough. Go ahead.
How are you doing collision handling where it hits the spaceship or it hits the left frame? How are you handling that?
I had some trouble with that, so I kind of cheated and used just the document end animation listener. So whenever any animation stops, it's going to trigger. I had trouble getting the current word when that hits, just that one. So I just did a document all, and any animation ends, then that triggers the dialogue here.
Gotcha. So whenever anything stops, it just triggers the dialogue?
Yeah, and that's the only animations I have right here.
Gotcha.
So it seems to work.
Super neat. This is actually really super neat. And so you're on itch right now. If I wanted to tackle controversial first, would I be able to, or does
No.
Gotcha.
No.
Gotcha. Hey, this is super cool, man. Like, I really like it. It's really neat. Did you have a landing page? Oh yeah, you did. Can we see your landing page too?
Yeah. Let me go back there. So this is probably not going to win any awards here, but I wanted to get the product first before I went back and got a little landing page.
Fair. Dude, nice. Super cool. Feedback on this, I think it was, so if you, I don't know if you're already doing this, but you could store the state of each div inside an array or an object of some sort. Are you doing that already?
I'm storing the order of rows in an array, not the contents or the elements or anything.
Gotcha. Okay, and then the rows kind of switch. Okay, and then you probably have like a spacing variable for how far it is from the left.
Yeah, it's strictly based on time.
Oh,
So every second, a new word will pop out.
gotcha. And what did you build it in? React?
This is vanilla JS.
Nice. Okay, I see what I see it now. Okay, gotcha. This is amazing. Feedback is on the design side. So typography matters just a tad. I think you're using Roboto or something more standard. So try and find a font. If you use a font that's a little bit less used, then it makes it stand out a bit more and it makes it feel more like a finished landing page. So that's one. Um, Vertical rhythm, like I mentioned before too, like the spacing between start and the previous section and start and the next section, it just seems very slightly off. And the paragraph spacing, it's not a multiple of the spacing between paragraphs. So between sections, sorry. So it's like it looks like the sections come in at random intervals. So that's something that needs to be fixed. But overall, you should also keep links to your GitHub, your LinkedIn, and your resume right over here with a picture of yourself. I know that you got to it last minute. This is super cool. Great. This is great. I actually really like the spaceship. It's neat. It was not clear to me that I could only tackle the word that the spaceship was on. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Overall, super amazing. The reason I give feedback is not to make people feel crappy. The reason I give feedback is to just point things out that maybe people haven't noticed. But this was really cool. Amazing project. Great. I think that's everybody. I can open the floor now for technical questions. So if you guys had any questions about event handling or any questions about how to architect this stuff better. On the other hand, if you have any career questions, then I can answer any questions for the next 15 minutes. Does anybody have any trouble with event handling? Just to speak out. Yeah.
I I had trouble in testing the app on the mobile. So for that purpose, I had to deploy each time. Yeah, commit, then deploy, then use it on my phone. Do you know a better way of testing an application, like in this particular case, without using the computer keyboard? Because that was the main issue in there.
Oh, without a computer keyboard.
Yeah, because I was testing the mobile keyboard.
The one thing that there's Polypane and Blisk, and Polypane might have a mobile keyboard. So let's see. So mobile keyboard simulator for browser. Not off the top of my head. Usually when we're building applications, like I can't remember the last time I built a game that was production ready. I don't think I ever have. So for that use case, usually what we do is we just make sure that it's scroll friendly. And I've never had a case where the position of the mobile was it actually impacted. Nothing off the top of my, what was this? Using Chrome DevTools device mode. Maybe there's something over here. If anybody else knows how to do this, then feel free to shout out. But I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry. Let's see if there's a keyboard here. You know, another approach to this might be to just anchor the size of the viewport to the bottom of the screen, so that when it pushes it up, instead of having an overflow scroll, it kind of pushes up the entire viewport. And what you can then do is kind of shrink the viewport to like a little square like that. That you can kind of, maybe what you can do is fake it on your local by just shrinking it to a little viewport.
Yeah,
Another
but
way to, like
I
that.
wasn't really worried about how it looks. I was worried about the event, because then when you press a key on the mobile keyboard, it and if you have something like key code, I guess, even that key code, the codes are different from on the mobile.
Gotcha. So how I would do it if this was production ready is I would actually install Android Studio, and I would use Android Studio's emulator to do it. So if this was a 12-week project and I really needed to do it and I didn't want to install it all the time because that would get annoying, then what you can do is you can open up Android Studio and use Chrome inside Android Studio. So here, for example, is the emulator running on the desktop. And let me blow up that image. Here's an emulator running on the desktop, and you can see that it's a full mobile device, and it works exactly like an Android phone. And if you wanted to test on iOS, then I would install Xcode on your Mac. But this Android Studio, it works on it works everywhere. So this is probably the best way that I can think of to actually test your phone. And how you would do it is just visit localhost 3000 from the Android device, and it should just open up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Questions about careers are kosher too. Questions about.
Wait, I had a question about the word blaster. How do you get the spaceship to line up with the word that you're typing in? Does it just like recognize the letters you're starting to type?
I keep track of the current row. So there's the 5 rows, right? So whenever we have the lead word, that's the current row. So the ship can go to that exact Y position.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with the letters they're typing in. It's just whatever one is closest.
Whichever one is active, yeah, the closest one. That's right.
Okay.
For that project, I dare say it would be interesting to use a canvas instead of what you did, because a canvas allow you to show images, and you don't have to go through all the trouble of creating HTML rows and working with grids. It also will allow you to display the ship and the words almost wherever you want. So I think it would be great if you change yeah the frame for a canvas.
To add on to that, if you wanted to really do Canvas, you can use Phaser.js. So this framework is amazing. Like we've done hackathons on it. We frequently do hackathons where we get people to use Phaser or recommend Phaser, and it gives you like you can add sprites. There's animations. There's a camera system. Maybe this is a great suggestion. Yeah, absolutely. It's a good suggestion. And if you didn't want to go down that route, I have another architecture choice for you, which is if you use a little object to store the state of your game world and then render that state. So kind of like the React philosophy where you just have like one array of objects where each object is the word and how close it is to the end. And then on every loop, what you do is you just render that into the DOM. And then you don't have to worry about the position of every div. You don't have to worry about the animation frames. All you have to worry about is the state of that object. So if any word reaches 0, then you close the game. So that's another way to do it too.
Is there a speed issue for the re-rendering every time?
React fixes it. And I think if you do jQuery, I don't think it'll be too bad for like, less than 20 divs or 30 divs. I don't think it'll be a big issue. Unless your keyframes are just super, unless your frame rate is just like, 300, 400 FPS, but I doubt it'll be, 60 FPS is good enough.
Cool.
Cool beans.
I had a similar issue as Scott with the event handlers. So I had to create to add the event listener and then remove it each time I render the application. How does that affect the performance of the application?
If you add and remove it, how frequently do you do that?
Each render.
Oh,
Because the thing is that as I'm using React and I'm using a functional component, then when I add the event listener, it kind of binds the function to the current state. And then
yeah.
in the next render, all my variables are not up to date. So I had to create a new event listener every render.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right. Like if you're saying that you're adding and removing like multiple times a second, is that what you're saying?
No,
Or is it just when you visit the page, that's when you add it, and when you move from the page, that's when you remove it? Is that what you're saying?
no. And on each render, so let's say I have, um, yeah, each time you press a key,
Ah,
it will
okay.
update the state of the index, let's say. So if the key is correct, the index is updated. So it makes a re-render, and then I have to remove the event listener and add a new event listener.
So what you want to do is you want to use use effect and return the unregister command. If that's what you're doing, then you're not actually, setting and unsetting every second. If you're returning the unregister function in the use effect, then you're fine. But if you're actually unregistering and registering manually on every key press, then it's better to use effect. So you should look at use effect. I don't know, I don't know what you're doing though. Could you give me more insights?
Yeah, there's a few use effects in there, but then I didn't know exactly to which state attach the effect for that particular case. So I have a use effect and it runs every time for that particular functionality. It runs every time. But yeah, I have a few on the index of the word, on the index of the. There's a few index in there. So index for letter, index for words, and
Mm.
there's
Um,
different use effects for each of them.
you shouldn't have to do that. Something seems just funky in the architecture over there if that's what you have to do. So either you're passing down props, like maybe you're passing down functions or props incorrectly from parent to child. Maybe that's something that's wrong. But in general, in a production app for a use case like yours, one listener for the keyboard input that's set when the page renders should be enough. You shouldn't need anything more.
I I I believe, I'm not sure. So I'm using a functional component. I believe if I used a class component, I could use the this keyword and then bind the states to the function,
Yeah.
and then probably the state could be up to date on each render, but I'm not sure.
So you shouldn't bind a listener to the state. The listener is actually relevant to the component, not to the state. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
but I mean inside the function, I could use this that my state. Currently, it just has my state, so I'm not sure, but maybe by using this, it might be referencing the current state,
I
not
hear you.
this one.
I hear you. Let me see if I can uh, look for a use effect somewhere that um, uh, event listener. Uh, Here we go. This is actually a good one. Um, it's actually not. Then let me share my screen and you guys can see what I'm doing here. So here's a project that we're working on, and So here's a use effect, and this is in the nav bar. And there's a document.add event listener where if you scroll, then it sets the scroll state for some reason. What you should do is return a function that does document dot remove event listener ID, and that return triggers on page unmount, on component unmount. So this is the equivalent of on-mounted and unmounted. So this is how you should be doing it. So take a look at the use effect hook. Maybe that's where it's hard to debug in such a short time span, but I think that might be where you might be able to just do a little bit of research and fix up the architecture. Another thing, a lot of the questions were about performance. And I just wanted to, in parting, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew this word. It's called premature optimization. And I've dropped that in the Zoom room, and I'll drop some resources about it in Discord as well. Optimizing performance before performance becomes a bottleneck is an anti-pattern. So you guys should not be caring about performance at all unless and until it becomes an issue. Now, of course, there's some common sense things you do, which is, don't use nested loops all the time. Make sure that your algorithmic complexity is like, simple. Don't do things that are obviously not optimal. But if you find yourself spending more than 10 minutes thinking about performance in any given problem, then you're probably doing premature optimization. You don't want to optimize to the nth degree when you write code, because these days, CPU and memory is so ubiquitous that everybody has so many resources to play with. Your computer is practically a supercomputer. Even your phone is a supercomputer compared to 20 years ago. You don't want to optimize. You don't want to optimize for performance at all until it becomes a bottleneck, and then you tackle it like a bug fix or a feature request. So yeah, just you guys should Google premature optimization. It's probably the most common anti-pattern in new developers these days, especially bootcamp grads, but not just bootcamp grads, even self-taught developers, university grads. But newer developers think that performance is everything. It's a total myth. Okay, that's all I got for you guys. If you guys have any questions, hang around in the Discord. I answer questions like these all the time. And if you have questions about each other's projects, you can find each other in the Discord as well. Tomorrow's hackathon is about building a CSS framework. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. We'll be building something like Bootstrap. And if not tomorrow, then we do this every single Friday. So come back whenever you guys want to take on a challenge, even if you feel like you didn't do the best this time around. If you feel you learned something, or if you feel like coming back to learn something new and the topic interests you, just come back. The more you attend, the more you learn. It's way more hands-on than doing a video tutorial. It's not tutorial hell. You're actually building real projects, and it's actually building your skills. Thank you, everybody, and hope to see you guys tomorrow or for another hackathon in the future.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.